Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome here if you are new. Thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate it so much. For today, we are going to be dipping into fall. I have not been able to bring myself to actually decorate my house for fall, but I am ready for all of the pumpkin spice and apple cinnamon flavors. So for today's video, I have brought to you compiling a montage of pumpkin spice recipes. I believe we're going to be making 5 today. They are so good, tried and true, delicious. I will be trying to leave all the links down below that I can. One of them I know I got from a cookbook, so I don't have a link for that, but I'll see what I can do. We're just going to begin by starting with a pumpkin spice latte. I did start making this video at like 2 p.m., so I was already hitting that wall and needed a pick-me-up. So I would have went for a coffee anyways, and you know what better than just diving right on in and making a pumpkin spice latte. So you're going to begin by heating up some milk with some, now the recipe calls for all the different spices individually, but you know what? I'm just going to cut out that step and use pumpkin pie spice. I'm sure most of you have this in your pantry and it just makes it so much easier. So you're going to mix your pumpkin pie spice, your milk, your pumpkin, and a little bit of brown sugar. Now this didn't turn out as sweet as I would like it, so I did add a little bit of other sugar at the end, but it did turn out really good. So hope you enjoy. So once your milk has come to like a warm temperature, you do not want to boil this. You just want to bring it to a warm drinking temp. Once it's reached that state, you're going to add a splash of vanilla into it, and then you're going to take it over and pour it over some brewed coffee. I'm just using some regular house blend coffee that I made. I made a full cup and then divided it in half because this recipe will make 2 servings. And then you're just going to top it off with some delicious whipped cream or Cool Whip, whatever you like, and some more pumpkin pie spice. Okay, so now how good does this recipe look? This is a pumpkin spice pull-apart bread. I made a very similar one a couple months ago. It was apple cinnamon. It was delicious, and so was this one. Honestly, just as good. Even my husband loved it. He called me Martha Stewart, and he claims that he doesn't like pumpkin spice, but I think even he can't resist some of the recipes. So you're just going to combine your pumpkin with your pumpkin pie spice and some sugar. Give it a mix, and you're going to set that to the side for now. And remember, I'll have the links down below that I can. Okay, so we're just going to be using a can of Pillsbury biscuit rolls. Gotta love the way I crack that open. You know what it means? Don't mess with me. No, I'm just kidding. Honestly, I'm like the most timid person in the world. So crack it open. You're going to begin by cutting each of these biscuits in half. Now, if you can find the grand biscuits, that is better. That's what the recipe calls for. But in Canada, we only have this one size. That's all you get. So you're going to begin by cutting each one in half. So you're kind of basically doubling the recipe a little bit. And then you're going to need to flatten them out. Now I brought my roller out. I was planning on rolling them, but they were so small that the palm of my hand actually worked perfectly. So you don't even need a roller for this. Just use the back of your hand, flatten them out. And then when that's all done, you're going to be placing about a tablespoon or so of the filling on each one. And then you're going to top it off with some brown sugar. Now, I didn't say this was a healthy recipe. None of them in this video are, but you know what? You came here for a reason. I am not the healthiest girl. But I do believe you can eat whatever you want in moderation, and we do eat our fair share of veggies. We like to make fresh meals almost every night, and they're usually pretty balanced. So just compile your little stacks into like 4 pieces each. And that way it's just kind of easier to maintain. You don't want to stack these all too high and have them topple over. So just make them little stacks of 4, and then we'll put them in the pan and we will bake them. Now this is where the biscuits grands would be so much better, because it would have filled out this pan better. And you know what? You could actually open a second can of biscuits if you wanted to, but all I did was spread them out in the pan and they actually baked just fine. You'll see in a minute, they were still just as delicious. So while they are baking, you are going to make the delicious icing like drizzle. Oh my word, this was so good. So you're just going to combine some icing sugar with a couple tablespoons of cream cheese, a splash of milk, not too much, and a little bit of vanilla. Honestly, this was so good. You guys definitely need to try that recipe. So on to the next, we are going to be making some pumpkin spice pancakes. Now I always have like a freezer baggie of homemade pancakes in the freezer for easy morning breakfast with the kids, especially now with school on. It's going to be so much easier to just warm them up and go. Now I couldn't decide between a regular flour pumpkin pancake or like a pumpkin and then oat mix kind of pancake. And then I remembered that I have oat flour in the cupboard. So yeah, hello, that was absolutely perfect. It worked out really well. So you're going to combine your dry ingredients all in one bowl, and then we will put our wet ingredients in another bowl. Now with our wet ingredients, this recipe called for a cup of buttermilk. I showed this in a recipe previously, but I don't ever carry buttermilk just standard in the house, like unless I actually think about it and get it at the store. But you can use a splash of vinegar, just white vinegar, in with a glass of regular milk, and that will substitute your buttermilk. Okay, I'm beyond obsessed with this Little Dash waffle maker. This is obviously the pumpkin one. I just got it off Amazon last year. It was like $20 maybe, and it's so flippin' cute. The only thing is you can only make one pancake at a time, but you know what? Just use it as an excuse to chill out for 15 minutes in the kitchen. And here they are all completed. They turn out so cute. I mean, they're not perfect, but that's fine. I'm feeding a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old and they love them. My 2-year-old came down and ate 2 of them just as I was filming this video. And then I just put them in the freezer and pull them out when we need to. Next, I'm just going to be whipping up a very quick recipe for a pumpkin honey butter. Now, honestly, this only took me a few minutes. I left some butter out to let soften while I was filming the other recipes. You're gonna combine it with some pumpkin pie spice, some pumpkin, and some honey. That's it, and it's so good. You just put it on some toast when you're done. I should mention, I know that there's a trick to putting honey into like your measuring spoons or cups. You just spray them down with some of your like vegetable spray first, but I was truly just too lazy in this moment, so I'm paying the consequences now by scooping it out. So our last recipe today is this brownie pumpkin cheesecake. Like, how delicious did that look? Now this recipe, I mean, it's pretty easy, but it's gonna take you like 2 days because after you make the cheesecake, it needs to sit in the fridge overnight. You're just gonna begin by mixing up a basic brownie mix, whatever you can find at the store. I mean, if you like to make a homemade brownie recipe that you have, that's totally fine too, but I'm just gonna use this pre-made package mix from the grocery store. And then you're going to bake that first on its own for about 22 minutes and then let that cool. So once your brownie batter is baked, you can probably see it off in the back there. You can see the aluminum foil. It's just cooling down on a wire rack. You are going to mix up the pumpkin cheesecake mixture. When that's all mixed up, you will be pouring that on top of the brownie batter and then baking it for another 55 minutes. Now I've got my little helper in the background there who is just dying to get her hands on my mixer. So this is, I was gonna say the next day, but this is actually 2 days later. After my cheesecake has completely cooled, it's in the freezer. In the fridge would do just fine, but we accidentally put it in the freezer. Anyways, you're just gonna whip up the whipping cream. So you're gonna beat your whipping cream until it's somewhat thick. Then you're gonna add some cocoa powder in and some powdered sugar. This whipped cream was absolutely delicious. Okay, so lastly, you're just gonna spread that whipped cream all over. Looking at this in hindsight, like I should have made a double batch of the whipped cream, but I guess that's fine. I don't really need a double batch of whipped cream. It was just so good. It would have been nice to have it like a really thick layer. Anyways, you're gonna put your whipped cream on. This is just some melted chocolate chips with like a tiny bit of oil to thin it out. You're just gonna melt that and drizzle that on top, oh my word. And then you're going to sprinkle some chopped up chocolate bar on top. I didn't have the one that it called for. A Twix bar would have been really good, but I used just a golden Aero bar. So it was a caramel Aero bar. And this cake turned out so good. Anyways, I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Please, please, please subscribe and like and stick around. I would love to have you all. Hope you guys have a really good day.